Hello and welcome. My name is Fast Kareem and welcome to PowerPoint 2019. A simple, self-paced e-learning modules where you can go ahead and learn about PowerPoint in the newest environment using PowerPoint 2019 and pick up on latest and greatest features. Now throughout this course, I try to make it hands-on, meaning if you want to go ahead and pause the video, you can go ahead and try out a few things that I'm showing you. And you might even hear me say throughout the courses, go ahead and try that, or pause the video and try that a few times and come right back. Feel free to take as long as you need during those moments to try things and come right back until you're satisfied. So with that being said, we have lots of learning to do. Let's go ahead and get to it and start talking about PowerPoint and the new user interface changes, starting with the start screen. Welcome back. So I went ahead and opened up PowerPoint 2019, and since Office 2013, interesting enough, we've always been taken to this screen every time we start the software. Whether you're in Word, Excel, or even this one, PowerPoint, we get taken to what they call the start screen. I'm going to go ahead and label that up here. Now this start screen, I like to always just go ahead and boil it down to, well, just about 3 uses. So with this start screen that kind of changes the way it looks every few years, but still acts the same, let's start talking about these 3 little uses that you can benefit from. Now the very first section I want to point out is on the bottom over here. I'm going to draw a red box around it. As you can see, it's showing you your recently accessed files. And as well, we have this little area called pinned. Now what this is basically a shortcut list to your files that mean the most to you. For example, if you recently opened up a file and you feel like you're going to have to keep referring back to that presentation, or you're going to have to access that at a later date at some point, you may want to consider just hovering over to the files. And notice how every time you hover over each one of these files, you'll see what they call a little contextual little pin icon pop up. If you go away from it, it goes away, but if you come back, it's right there. Now what it's asking you to do if you click that little pin with a left click is you can actually pin it to this area of PowerPoint called the pin section of the start screen. And from there, you can go ahead and access that PowerPoint presentation at all times until you choose to, well, unpin it from the start screen. I do want to point out that this will not make duplicate copies of the file that we just pinned over here. But what it will do is give you a nice, easy shortcut to go ahead and access that file from Microsoft PowerPoint's start screen. Now the final tab, as you can see, is a Shared With Me tab. We all use our lovely cloud services, whether it's Box, OneDrive. Now, OneDrive is Microsoft's cloud service, of course. And as you can see, I have a few files being shared with me, and I can go ahead and access them directly through the start screen. And in case I'm not finding any files I'm looking for, and I know I've recently opened them, or maybe they're pinned, or I know they exist, you may want to consider using the search to filter that list. So at this point in time, we should feel pretty comfortable that the start of the software just wants you to find some files. What's all this about? This is boiling down into use number 2 of the start screen. We can go ahead and access our files from here. And use number 2 actually has to do with these tiles over there. Now these tiles actually have a more formal name. They're called themes within PowerPoint. Now a theme is simply a formatting, a layout, a color scheme, a font scheme already in play. So that way, instead of you starting from a blank presentation and reinventing the wheel, you might want to consider picking the Madison theme. Now, with these themes that we're looking at, you can go ahead and notice that we have an option to see more themes. If you give a click, you can go ahead and browse through a list of these pre-formatted presentations with a certain look and feel you might be looking for. Let's go ahead and take a look at this wood type. I'm going to go ahead and give that a click. Now with this wood type, I can maybe change the color scheme to a different type of wood type color scheme. I can cycle through this deck to see how the other ones would look. Oh, okay. That's a 2 content layout. Here we go. We got the photo layout. If you want to use one of these built-in templates, all you need to do is hit create. Now, every time you go ahead and access a new slide of some sort, you're going to notice there's already this formatting and layout and font scheme already in play, known as a theme. I'm going to go ahead and close out this presentation. Let's go ahead and go open up backup PowerPoint here. Pretty nifty. So as you can see, since we recently opened up WoodType, I went ahead and showed it in the start now that it's accessed recently. I'm going to go ahead and use this WoodType and I'm going to pin it to this list so it can always go ahead and remain there. Get into a habit of pinning the things you like so they don't go anywhere. So at this point in time, we should feel pretty comfortable with the start screen covering use number 1, where we can go ahead and access our files. And now we learned that we can save a bunch of our work, or maybe find some built-in work, by accessing our themes. Now, what's use number 3 of the start screen? Now, you might be wondering, well, I don't really see much else. That's because besides us having the ability to, well, access these built-in themes, we can actually save a certain file, or a certain presentation, I should call it, as a theme. And it's just called a Office theme, or a PowerPoint template, I should say. Now, with this template, once you save it, you're basically asking the software to give you a personal section where you can access your personal set of templates directly from the start screen. So at this point in time, now that we've taken a little tour of the 3 little functions of the start screen, I do want to point out that we've been in the home area, and this is stemming into the 2019 aspect of it. You're going to notice that if you hover down and click New, it kind of just shows you your templates and themes that we have here. And if you go ahead and go over to the Open area, this is just your list of files that we had, as well as the files is shared with you, and your OneDrives and cloud services that you're using, or maybe just your local PC. So now that we took a little tour of this start screen, and are feeling pretty comfortable navigating between the tabs and noticing all the different pieces are there, depending on what tab you're at, go ahead and pause the video and take a tour of your start screen. Maybe pin a few of those presentations that mean the most to you, and maybe try saving that PowerPoint company template as a PowerPoint template type instead of a PowerPoint presentation and see it pop up in the start screen. Go ahead and pause the video and try these things out. Come right back. Hopefully you had a little fun setting up your start screen and pinning those presentations over to your start screen so you can easily access them from PowerPoint 2019. Hopefully you took a little tour of those themes and templates and saw the ones that you liked and maybe pinned a few over to your start screen as well. Now that we got that covered and we got that down, what we should do is let's take a tour of the new user interface by clicking on a blank presentation. It's just technically a template, just has nothing on it. It's a blank theme there. I'm going to go ahead and click on a blank presentation here, and you should too if you have PowerPoint 2019 open. And as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and close out the design ideas here. As you can see, there's not much that looks too different. Now, what I mean by that is Microsoft, since 2007, has been following the same interface to where they have something called the ribbon. Basically, the whole top part of the screen that I just boxed. Now, this ribbon over here, it actually has a structure. There's 2 parts to it, actually. The first part is actually these tabs that we have. We have our Home tab, our Insert, Design, our Draw tab, of course, for our touchscreen computers. Now, these tabs over here, the reason why they exist and why they developed them in 2007 is simply because of the fact that we have so many tools that they decided to organize them into these little sections within all of the tabs. Now, you're going to notice that we have what they call command groups readily available with all of our tools living in there. Now, another thing I want to point out is some of these command groups you're going to notice have this little tiny arrow in the corner, a little boxed out arrow. I see one on the font command group. It's currently grayed out because I don't have any text selected. But that arrow actually has a meaning. Now, if you're not looking for a certain setting or a certain tool that you feel belongs inside of the font command group, or you feel it belongs inside of that clipboard command group where you can copy and paste things, try checking in the more options by clicking in that little arrow on the command groups that actually have them. So now that we have a little tour of the ribbon, I also want to point out that a lot of people have a lot of complaints about, well, finding all of these tools on the ribbon interface. So with that being said, keep in mind that you do have this 2019 search. It used to say, tell me what you want to do in there in the 2016 version. But if you go ahead and search for a tool like inserting a slide, you can go ahead and just type the name of what you think it should be, and typically it does some matching, and as you can see, we found the new slide option to where we can go ahead and insert a slide. So do keep in mind that a lot of the tools that are in the ribbon can be found just with a quick search in PowerPoint 2019. Let's keep talking about the ribbon and what else we should know about it. So now that we have the structure understood, where they have command groups and they have tabs, a lot of people complain that it's kind of tedious to keep typing the name of the tool that you want to use. Some people have a hard time remembering where they are. Now, if you are one of those people and you just always forget where the option to add a new slide is, and you always forget the fact that it's in the Home tab in the Slides command group, you do have a very special area in all of your Office products. It's been there for quite some time now. I'm going to go ahead and draw a box around it here. And that's called the Quick Access Toolbar. It's simply a set of tools that you can quickly access. And believe it or not, you can actually add any tool you want that means the most to you onto your Quick Access Toolbar. A good example of that is like adding this new slide tool. So that way, regardless of what tab you're on, you can go ahead and quickly add a new slide without having to search for it. Let's go ahead and do this one together. So let's all go ahead and hover over to our Home tab. Now, if we want to add this new slide option over to our Quick Access Toolbar, we can simply just do a right click over here. Instead of a left click, you're going to notice that a right click will open up a settings or menu options. The very first option on any tool that you see, keep in mind this is for all your Office products, it's to add to the Quick Access Toolbar. I'm going to go ahead and add the new slide option there. Now, regardless of what tab I'm on, I can go ahead and access my slides and the different ones I want to go ahead and produce in this PowerPoint deck. Now that we see the Quick Access Toolbar, a few little expert tips I want to point out about it is I always recommend people to put the tools that mean the most to them, not to their colleague or their manager. Because if they email this presentation or they share this presentation with anyone, they're going to open it up on their PowerPoint. And their PowerPoint's going to have whatever Quick Access Toolbar they customized. So it's only on your machine. And I do want to point out that there's a keyboard shortcut that you can actually use. Now, if you hold the Alt key, and this is, keep in mind, in every Office product, I'm going to go ahead and hold the Alt key next to my spacebar. You're actually going to see a bunch of letters and numbers around the tabs. And the numbers are around the Quick Access Toolbar. What this allows us to do is quickly use keyboard shortcuts like Alt-1 to turn on autosave, Alt-2 to go ahead and save this file for the very first time, and if I had done an action, I can hit Alt-3 to undo it, since it's the third position in my Quick Access Toolbar. Now, you don't need to wait and hold the Alt key for a few seconds every time you use this. You can just hit the combination right away, and you're in good shape, and you can go ahead and add as many tools as you want. But do keep in mind that within the Quick Access Toolbar, there's this tiny little arrow, and if you click it, you should go ahead and click that right now. And it'll actually go ahead and show you the more commonly used tools that people typically add to their Quick Access Toolbar. And the final setting that I want to point out is I've seen some expert PowerPoint people, what they like to do instead, or some beginners right off the bat, they like to go ahead and change the position of their Quick Access Toolbar. let's go ahead and see how that looks for ourselves and do that really quick. I'm going to go ahead and show my quick access toolbar below the ribbon, where I can go ahead and access the tools in a nice, more colored iconic set directly below the command groups. Do keep in mind, if you did this and don't like the position, just go back to that little arrow and show it above the ribbon. Alrighty, hopefully we're having a little fun playing around with this quick access toolbar. Now, the next thing I want to point out here, now that we know about the tabs and the command groups with the quick access toolbar, and in case we need to find a tool, we can search for it. I do want to point out you could have right-clicked from here as well to add it to the quick access toolbar. The final thing I have to say about it, the whole ribbon, is I don't want anyone to be alarmed if this thing ever disappears. If your ribbon just poofs out of nowhere and goes away. The final thing I want to point out about our ribbon interface and PowerPoint 2019's interface is the fact that when you may accidentally minimize or maximize your PowerPoint, do keep in mind right next to it is actually the ribbon display options. To where if you accidentally click auto hide the ribbon, or intentionally, what it's going to do is it's going to hide the ribbon from you automatically. But do keep in mind, if you so happen to just give that a click up there, the ribbon will return, but you've changed the setting to go away every time you click away. Let's all go ahead and change that setting back if you accidentally change it to auto hide the ribbon, and move it over to show tabs, home, insert, as well as the command groups like tools. Now that we got the full picture of the ribbon interface, I think a good little exercise to just get familiar with the interface of Office products is go ahead and pause the video and customize your quick access toolbar. Add the tools that you feel like you would use the most. A few examples might always be in the Home tab, since Home is typically where the more commonly used tools are. Go ahead and try out about 9 tools so you can have quick 9 keyboard shortcuts to access those tools, and come right back. Alrighty, welcome back. So now that we went ahead and played around with the ribbon interface a little bit, I think it's a good idea to start working with some slides. Now the very first slide that we have, you can see a little thumbnail of our slide there. The very first slide that we have over here is actually the title slide. Now with the title slide, we can go ahead and give our presentation a title and a subtitle. And after that, if you want to go ahead and add in more slides, we're going to go ahead and use the new slide option to go ahead and build some content for our presentation. But let's go ahead and add in a title over here to our title slide and type in PowerPoint 2019. Now what I want to do over here is I want to go over to this next box over here and put in a subtitle. I want to put with Fast Kareem. Now if you so happen to notice, if you hit enter inside of this little text box, it's just going to move your title a little bit up, misplacing it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and hold the control key on my keyboard. And I'm going to hit the enter key to go down to the next text box on this slide. Control enter. I'm going to put with Fast Kareem. So now that we have our title in and our subtitle, kind of filled up both of our text boxes. In order to move on further with this presentation, it's about time where we can go ahead and add in a new slide. Now, if you notice, this is actually 2 separate keys that we have here. The very first one will always generate after the title slide that we have. It's always going to, generate what they call a title and content slide, to where you're going to have a title and a spot to put your bullets, images, charts, or SmartArt if you choose to do so. What we want to do over here is add in a title and content slide. And if you go ahead and click the very first top option over here, it's going to go ahead and generate that for us. So let's all go ahead and hover over to our Home tab and give a click on the title and content slide, or you can go ahead and click on that top option to generate a title and content for you. So now that we have this current slide layout that we're looking at, let's go ahead and practice adding in a few slides into our PowerPoint deck so that you can go ahead and be exposed to the different types of layouts you have available in a PowerPoint 2019 presentation. Go ahead and generate one of each of these and come right back over to this video. Hopefully you all had a little fun playing around with those different slide layouts you have available in PowerPoint. Now that we've been exposed to quite a few of them, let's go ahead and make sure that we've deleted all of them. Don't worry, you can just click on them and do a right click, and the option to delete the slide will be available to you. Now, once they're all deleted, make sure you leave that title slide so we can go ahead and add in the very first new slide that we want to use, the title and content. Now, it's very important to go ahead and learn how to work with text in PowerPoint since you're going to be writing in your main bullet points within the slide. I'm going to go ahead and click into the title box, and I'm going to go ahead and call this Working with Text. You should go ahead and follow along with me. Now, in case you want to go ahead and center it, you can go ahead and hover up to your ribbon. And in your ribbon, I just want to expose everyone to this command group called the Paragraph Command Group here, where we can go ahead and choose to center our title. Now you saw I just centered my title without actually clicking that, because I actually used the keyboard shortcut, Control+E, to go ahead and center my text. Now, when we go ahead and add in these keyboard shortcuts, it is a small little time-saving things. Now that we have our title nice the way we want it, let's go ahead and increase the font size a little bit as well. We can hover up to our Home tab over here, where we're exposed to our Font Command Group, where we have the increase and the decrease size options to work with the text in the text box. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight this text, and instead of me going up there and grabbing this text box over here, I have multiple options that work better. I can use this little screen tip over here to easily access it, and it shows up automatically as soon as I highlight text. But you're going to notice that when you hovered over each thing, it showed you a keyboard shortcut. Control-Shift greater than, and that'll actually go ahead and increase the text size. Just be sure you have something selected before you use this keyboard shortcut. Notice how I have the whole titles highlighted currently. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control-Shift and the greater than key. Great, looking good. Now that we have our title nicely in play and we went ahead and made it the size we want, I'm going to go ahead and bold my title as well. So with this text box, I'm now done, and you are too. Let's go ahead and move over down to the next text box. Now you can go ahead and put your cursor over here and click on it, but I'm all about these time-saving shortcuts, and the more you're exposed to, the more practice you have to them, the easier it is to just memorize them. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and just hit Control and then hit the Enter key. And that's going to go ahead and move me to the next text box. I'm going to go ahead and do that for myself. Control Enter. Look at that. We're over here at this text box over here. So now that we have some text in our title, let's go ahead and add some bullet points. I'm going to add my very first bullet. Now you notice how the bullet just automatically showed up there. Every time you hit enter, a new bullet will appear. My second bullet. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit enter once more and add in a third bullet here, and you should follow along here with me as well. Alrighty, things are looking good. Now, at this point in time, go ahead and try practicing adding in some notes so that you can use on this current slide. I'm going to go ahead and add in some text into the note sections. Now, if you aren't seeing the notes section, keep in mind you have a status bar that has your notes section that you can go ahead and open up and easily access to add in some notes for the current slide you're on. Just a little interesting little note. Try to keep your bullets about 4 slides or less on a slide. It's easier for a person to process it because you're not throwing too many topics in there at once. Keep in mind there's these more advanced PowerPoint features like animations that you can bring in one bullet point while taking out another so that we only have one thing on the screen at one time. Let's go ahead and continue on. So now that we have some text in there, I'm going to go ahead and maybe highlight this very first bullet. And I want to go ahead and at least increase the font size a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use the screen tooltip this time to increase the font size. Now I went ahead and changed my font size to 32, which is pretty legible in a PowerPoint. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the rest of my bullet points are easily seen on a PowerPoint presentation because the font size is kind of small right now, especially for the people in the back row that want to see your presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight these two. I'm going to use my screen tip. Notice how the keyboard shortcut we just used gets presented to you when you hover over it, and just change those to 32 as well. Alrighty, now that we had a little fun playing around with some text, let's do something a little different. This time, let's go ahead and add a new slide layout. But let's go ahead and use a blank one. Now with the blank slide layout, the reason why I chose a blank one is sometimes you want to choose where the text goes. And you notice with this one, the text boxes were already there for you. And they're already in play where you had your title here, and you had your bullets here. In case you want to add in some random text in various spots, you can go ahead and add in text boxes. Now text boxes are very useful in PowerPoint. So with that being said, you will find them in the Home tab. Because the Home tab is where all the familiar and more commonly used tools go. You're going to notice that in the drawing command group that we have here, we have this little option for a text box inside of the shapes that we have available. But if you think about it, what we want to do here is we want to insert a text box. We want to go ahead and insert a text box. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and click on my Insert tab, and you should follow along too. And you're going to notice that inside of the Insert tab, you're going to notice we have an available option for text boxes where we can we'll choose them from there. But if we're already on the Home tab, it makes sense to choose it from there as well. I'm going to go ahead and go to my Insert tab and choose the text box over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and build my very first text box right over here and put this is my custom made text box. Now in case I want to move my text box around, I can just grab it and move it over to the corner over here. Now from there, I'm going to go ahead and just move this over to the left-hand side in that corner. Let's go ahead and play around with another text box. I'm going to go ahead and insert this text box here. I'm going to go ahead and build one right over here. And in this one, let's go ahead and put, notice there is no bullets. Because those text boxes that the PowerPoint slide layouts gave you were already predefined with having bullets assigned to them. Let's go ahead and add a bullet to this text box. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this text. And I'm going to go ahead and hover up to my Home tab over here. I'm going to go ahead and add a bullet by choosing a bullet from this option. Just like that, a bullet appeared. Now, every time you went ahead and hit Enter, you're going to notice that another bullet shows up. And we can go ahead and type in some more text. And in case you do want to change the indentation level of this bullet for this text box, you can go ahead and just go up to your paragraph command group. Kind of slowly getting introduced to more and more tools here if you notice about it. Pretty nifty command group that we have. And I'm going to go ahead and increase the indent level. And it just made the text a little bit smaller and indented the text a little bit further. Now every time you hit enter, it's going to stay on that little level there. So with that being said, what I want to do here is I want to go back to the first level. I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift Tab. Instead of going over here up to my Home tab to take me back to the first level to decrease the list level. So let's go ahead and move our cursor in the front of the text we want to move. And we can just go ahead and use the nifty keyboard shortcut, Shift plus Tab, to move us over the previous text level or indent level. Shift, Tab, nifty. Now when we hit enter, we're back at level 1. Let's go ahead and play around with a little bit more text boxes here. Now, I do want to point out with our text boxes that we have, we can go ahead and find the perfect size of our text boxes. I love this size. And now I want to go ahead and set this as the default for the text box sizes that I went ahead and produce. I'm going to go ahead and do that for myself, and you should too. Set as default text box. I'm going to go ahead and choose another text box and paste that in. And you noticed that now when I add in the text, let's go ahead and notice the bullet stays. Indent over to level 2 when you hit Shift, you hit Tab. Shift plus Tab will take you back. Now, I'm going to go ahead and move this little text box over to the same size as that text box and just adjust it a little bit. And you notice all the settings that we chose for the text box went ahead and remained the same. So with that being said, let's go ahead and practice playing around with a few more text boxes, adding in your bullets and setting that as the default, and seeing what you can come up with and come right back.
Alrighty, hopefully we're having a little fun playing around with some text boxes here. Now the next thing I want to do is let's go ahead and open up another blank slide. I'm going to go ahead and go to my Home tab and click on a new slide over here. Now for this one, let's go ahead and just have a title only for this slide. This doesn't have any text boxes for our text, but it has a title box where we can go ahead and add our title. Now for this slide right over here, let's go ahead and put inside of here bullets. And I'm going to go ahead and center my title over here with my paragraph command group. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the bold key to bold that. Oh, first highlight it and hit the bold key to bold that. So now that we know a little bit about text boxes, I'm going to go ahead and get my text box and just place it over here inside of my PowerPoint window. And you should too. And let's go ahead and add in some bullet points, just about 4 of them. Bullet 1. Hit enter. Bullet 2. And bullet 3. And let's go ahead and have bullet 4. Now, using those shortcuts that we learned in the previous videos, let's put our cursor in front of bullet 2 and make it a second level indent. Now let's also put our cursor in front of bullet 3 and make it a third level indent by hitting it twice and hitting the tab key once your cursor is in front of there. The tab key will go ahead and change the indent level. Don't forget, Shift Tab will take you back. So for the very final time, let's go ahead and put our cursor in front of the bullet 4 and tab, tab, tab. Just go ahead and indent the bullets a little further. Now that we have 4 little indentations of the bullets, something I want to point out is we can actually control the bullets in PowerPoint. I'm over here in my Home tab. And in Home, in the paragraph command group, we've been playing around with that a lot, haven't we? We can go ahead and notice that we can go ahead and change the bullets by going to this little arrow right over there. Now we can go ahead and change them over a little drastically. Notice how the last one's getting changed. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight all my bullets and go over to it to see the reflective changes. Now, if you're not liking any of the ones that we're looking at over here, keep in mind you can go ahead and see the list under bullets and numbering. check it out. We can go ahead and customize that. We have some numbers that we can go ahead and see instead. Let's go ahead and do ABC. Hit OK. I just went over to the numbered tab over here. Alrighty. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift Tab to take these back to show you that it's all changing the indent levels for you. It's controlling it. We just chose to use letters instead. I'm also going to go ahead and hit Tab over here to show you that it's another second level. This is a level A, the second level. Let's go ahead and re-highlight these once more and go back over to our paragraph command group. Because if you noticed, we went ahead and switched over our bullets over to numbers. And now we have a different set of options that we can choose from if we choose to do so. We do Roman numerals, we can do lower cases, or we can have a little parenthesis at the end of them. So now that we're seeing just playing around with bullets, let's go ahead and add in another text box over here and see what you can come up with and customize your bullets and come right back. So we've hopefully been having a little fun playing around with the different features of PowerPoint and playing around with the bullets that we just discovered. Now that we've played around with a little bit, I do want to point out that we haven't even saved this presentation yet. Now a good idea is to go ahead and save this to a cloud service like OneDrive, the one that's typically included with your Office 365 accounts, or if your organization chooses to use OneDrive. There are other cloud services like Box that your organization may be using. Now let's go ahead and save this file by going over to the File tab over here. And when you go ahead and choose to save something, it's a good idea to go ahead and access your OneDrive. Now when you do save the file, I'm going to go ahead and call this the PowerPoint intro. Just make sure to go ahead and save it. This way we can access it from any computer as long as we can sign in to our OneDrive account. But there's a few things that I want to bring to your attention. If a file is saved on OneDrive, it acts a little different. Great. What's new to 2019 is now in the title bar. When you save a file to OneDrive, you get to go ahead and change the name of it. And you can also go ahead and share the file or get a link to the file directly from here and access the version history of the file that has been saved. So now that the file is saved on OneDrive, let's go ahead and practice that in case you were just watching and digesting, and make sure that you're able to save this presentation over to OneDrive and expose yourself to that lovely new window where we get to rename our files and share our file or maybe access the version history of the file. Things are looking pretty smooth. Now at this point in time, I do want to point out that I do want to see how my slideshow is turning out. I want to play it a little bit. A few things that I want to point out when you play your slideshow. I'm going to go ahead and click over here on the bottom because you can go ahead and start the slideshow from here. I'm going to go ahead and give that a click. It'll start it on the current page that you're on. Keep in mind we could go ahead and back out, go to the next page or the previous page and start from the front. Or we can go ahead and keep continuing over to the right until the presentation's ended. And I can hit the escape key to end the presentation. What I do want to point out to everybody is we have a slideshow tab. Let's go ahead and give that a click. Now from the slideshow tab, I do want to point out we have a pretty nifty command group called Start Slideshow. We can go ahead and start the slideshow from the beginning or from the current slide that we're currently on. And it's the same thing as clicking this option if we do choose the from the current slide. So now that we've been exposed to this, let's go ahead and see how our presentation is looking from the beginning. And every time you want to go over to the next slide, you can go ahead and click over there, or pretty much any key will take you over to the next slide. During my presentation, I have pretty nifty tools I can use. I have a pen right over here. I'm going to go ahead and pick my pen, pick the green color, and point out that my first slide's done. If you ever need to change the color scheme, you can go ahead and go back to the pen and maybe just pick a different color. And if you're feeling a little highlighter, you can go ahead and use the highlighter, which does change colors as well. And when you're all done annotating the presentation, you have an option to erase things one by one or all in one go by hitting Erase All Ink on the slide. Pretty nifty tools we got down here. Oh, someone's having a little hard time seeing. You can go ahead and magnify into it as well. You just zoomed into our slide and we can zoom back out as well. Just hit the escape key to go back. I can go ahead and start seeing subtitles in case I need to. I'm going to go ahead and close this window out. Got some nifty subtitles there. And at the very end, when we go ahead and go to this ellipses over here, we can go ahead and maybe end the show. And just like that, I went ahead and went back to the presentation where you can maybe add in new slides or edit the pre-existing text. At this point in time, go ahead and start your presentation up and play around with those tools that you have during the slideshow and see what you can come up with in terms of highlighting and the different areas of the slideshow view. Alrighty, now that we're playing around with quite a few tools, and we know about a few of them like the bullets, the center aligning, adding in a new slide, the bold key, I do want to point out that in 2016 at Microsoft, they introduced this bar up here called the Tell Me What You Want to Do. And in 2019, they decided to go ahead and call it the search function. And from here, you can actually find all of the tools that you need to go ahead and access from the search. So if I need to go ahead and use the bold key, I can go ahead and access it. And it's currently grayed out because I don't have anything highlighted. So let me go ahead and highlight my title. If I want to unbold it because it's currently bolded, I can type in bold, and the option to unbold it will be selected. Now you can do this to find virtually any tool, even to increase the font size. Increase the font size. Made it a little bit bigger. And if you notice, I can even share it from here. I can have a little window over here for font sizes that I can adjust. Readily available for all the tools since they keep adding so many. It's kind of like we don't even need to know where any of them exist anymore because we can access them from the search. Just got to know that they exist, and if you used them before, you don't really need to know where they are. I'm going to go ahead and make my text size a little bit bigger. Now, besides the search, if you ever have difficulty using a searching tool, like the new slide option, I do want to point out you can go ahead and get help. And over here are Microsoft-related documents and articles. That will just give you some guidance on the topic that you selected and maybe a little shortcuts on how to use them. Notice we have a nifty list of shortcuts within Office popped up for us. Go ahead and expose yourself to the search box that you have in Office 2019, or if you're on 2016, the Tell Me What You Want to Do bar, and play around and try to find a few tools and use them from there to get in a little habit of it. Alrighty, now that we've had a little fun playing around with some text and using that little nifty search since so many tools are being introduced, let's go ahead and add in a new slide this time and just give it a title only. And for this title, let's go ahead and put it Working with Pictures. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and just center my title from the home and the paragraph command group. Now everything we're doing is being saved every keystroke because we just saved it to OneDrive, and everything's being saved every single time we type. You can go ahead and turn that off by disabling the autosave feature that's there when a file is saved on OneDrive, but I want to go ahead and keep saving as I progress. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight this word and make it a little bold there, just to match the rest of my titles. And if I want to insert a picture, you can do that from your computer, or you can do it from online, but you don't need to go find your favorite browser to go ahead and access those photos. You can just go to the Insert tab of PowerPoint, where you can find some maybe online pictures. I'm going to go ahead and maybe find a picture from my computer if you had some readily available. Let's go ahead and see this online picture tool and what's to talk about that. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and find some pictures of PowerPoint 2019. Great, I found the PowerPoint logo. I'm going to go ahead and select that right over here. and I'm just going to choose to insert it. Looking good. Now what I'm going to do here, we'll close out the design ideas here. It's for Office 365 users. I'm going to go ahead and close out, make it a little bit smaller by going to the edge of it and just grabbing it and make it a tad bit smaller and move it over to the side there. And just get rid of it because it was from the web. Alrighty, we have our very first PowerPoint photo over there. Better yet, let's go ahead and just move it over there to the side. Let's make this PowerPoint slide look a little nice. Now that we inserted a picture there, an online picture that is, another thing I really like to do is insert shapes on the bottom of the banner of my PowerPoint slide to give it a nice complete finish. I'm going to go over to my Shapes command group, or better yet, my Illustrations command group with the Shapes icon. I'm just going to add in a little rectangle. I'm going to find it from the rectangles area there. Now I'm going to add this shape on the bottom over here so I can see the PowerPoint logo, and I have the shape as well, kind of like this little bordering system that I have there. Looking good. We can make it a little smaller later. Whoa. Okay, so I went ahead and added the shape, but my PowerPoint picture is behind it. I'm going to move that to the front. What? It's not really working out. You see that? How the PowerPoint keeps going behind the image? So when you insert pictures here, I just want you to be aware that they're kind of putting things on top of each other, like a stack of papers. I put this piece of paper on top of this piece of paper, but I want my PowerPoint to be above my border. So let's do this together. With the picture selected, there's this brand new contextual tab that pops up called Picture Format. Let's give that a click. Now in the Picture Format tool, I just wanted you to be aware that we have the ability to maybe bring this forward to the front or just one level forward. Or we could have maybe sent this square. I'm going to go to the Shape Format option, and we could have maybe sent it backwards. Now what we're essentially doing here is we're arranging the shapes and images on our PowerPoint. Now I do want to point out arranging things is pretty useful. And we did discuss how all the useful keys and all the useful tools will be in the Home tab. You notice we even have an arrange option tucked away nicely in our Home tab for us to go ahead and maybe send something forward, to the back. Now let's go ahead and send this to the back over here. You're going to notice my PowerPoint logo pops up above it, where I can go ahead and add that. I'm just going to move this to the very bottom of my slide with the left click and a hold, and you should too. Let's move the PowerPoint logo now. It's nicely in play. I'm going to go ahead and just make that a little bit smaller there. Looking good, looking good. So now that we're working with images over here, let's keep playing around a little bit further. So with these images that we have, another thing I want to find is the Office logo. I want the Office logo to be the background of the slide. So let's go to our Insert tab over here and find over an online picture. I'm going to go ahead and put Office 2019. Great, exactly the logo I was looking for. I'm going to choose to insert that there. I'm going to delete the text that comes with the image. We don't really want that, but I do need the logo. Now I want the logo to just be behind my wallpaper, just centered inside of the slide. So I'm going to go to my picture format over here. And I do want to point out that we can go ahead and easily align the object just by moving it around. You're going to notice that your smart guides, these little red lines popping up telling you where the image is kind of centered. But if you don't like that, you can select the image and you can go to the Align Objects tool in the Picture Format tab that's there. Keep in mind you must have the picture selected to see that tab. I'm going to go ahead and go to that option in the Arrange command group, and I'm going to align it to the center. And I'm also going to align it to the middle. Now what I want to do is, I want to send it all the way to the back. I want to send it backwards, but all the way to the back. So I'm going to send it to the back there. Now as you can see, I went ahead and put my banner. I'm going to move it up a little bit. Looking good, looking good. Great. Now that we're playing around with the little images and working with them and modifying them, sending them backwards and sending them forward. Let's go ahead and add in just a few more images. Now, another pretty useful tool in the Office products that we have is Microsoft Word. Let's go ahead and add the Word logo in here. I'm going to go to my Insert tab over here and choose my online pictures. Let's type in Word 2019. There's that Word logo, and there's the Outlook logo too. I'm just going to go ahead and make that a little smaller by grabbing that edge. Oop, I flipped it around. There we go. I'll put the Word logo over here on this end. Alrighty. So now that we have a little slide working with the pictures here and we arrange the pictures, go ahead and practice adding in pictures by adding in the Excel logo and the Outlook logo here. And come right back. I'll go ahead and do the same while you guys are doing that as well. Alrighty, welcome back. I went ahead and added my new images there. Now, a few things that I want to point out. Now, the second you move this bar over here, the images aren't moving with it. If you notice, the bar is separate from the images. Every image is actually separate from each other too. If I move this one, I have to move all of them one by one. Now, once you do have your images, a few things that you might want to consider is making them all nicely arranged next to each other, and also all aligned next to each other. Let's go to our Picture Format tab over here and go back to the Alignment area. Now for my PowerPoint, let's go ahead and align this to the very bottom. And let's go ahead and align it over to the right. Let's go ahead and grab my Microsoft Word over here. And I'm going to go to the Picture Format tab, of course, and go to the Alignment option. And I'm going to align this one to the left. And I'm also going to align it to the very bottom over here. Now with these two, what I'm going to do is, instead of going ahead and actually using the alignment tool, I'm just going to go ahead and use the Smart Guides to go ahead and place them apart from each other. Now notice how it's letting me know that they're equally spaced apart with those little red lines that are popping up for myself. Let's go ahead and move it apart from this one. And I'm going to make sure that this one's level with that one there. Looking good. I'm going to grab this Outlook option and I'm going to hold the Control key to have both of them selected at once. I'm going to go and align both of them to the bottom here. Looking good, looking good. So now that we have everything nicely aligned, it's a good idea to group these things so that they're all in one shape, and if you do move them around, they all move in one nice little container. I'm going to hold the Control key to select all the objects that I want to group together. Square grouped and all 4 images here. I can even group the logo back there too to move all as one. Let's do that too. And I'm going to go over here, and if I do need to group something, I can go to the Picture Format option, and down below right next to the alignment, it let you group it because you first align and then you group. Now it moves as one solid image. Great, let's go ahead and right-click this and choose to copy this and see how it would look on another slide. Let's go back over to our bullet slide. And I'm just going to go ahead and just paste in my image with a right-click and a paste. I'm going to send it back. So, now I have my images on both slides here, but there's an issue with this one. I can't see my text. Problem. I'm just going to select this entire group, and in the Arrangement command group for my Home tab, I'm just going to go ahead and send the image all the way to the back so that I can still see the text. Go ahead and practice adding this image to all the pre-existing slides, including the title, and sending it backwards, and come right back. Alrighty, hopefully we were successful at completing this task by adding in the background and the images that we created to all of our slides. Now that we have this background working with the images and we sent it all the way to the back, a few things that we have in addition to the pictures and online pictures is a screenshot tool. Now we can take screenshots within PowerPoint or have our available windows open and take a picture of that window and add it into a PowerPoint slide. For this example, let's all go to the Home tab and add in a new blank slide over here. Now for this blank slide, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Insert tab over here, and I just want to show you that I have a screenshot option to take a screen clipping. Now it does minimize my PowerPoint so that I can take a picture of my screen over here. So you'd probably have the window ready for yourself. I'm going to go ahead and get the PowerPoint logo from my taskbar, take a picture of it. And just like that, the picture ended up showing up in our PowerPoint slide. Go ahead and practice taking screenshots of your computer and adding them in to this PowerPoint slide just to go ahead and be exposed to that screenshot tool. And come right back. Alrighty, look at that. Our presentation currently has 6 slides in it so far. I know that by looking over at the slide thumbnails. Now, what I want to do over here is I want to go ahead and make my slideshow a little more fluid and easier to go ahead and transition over to the next slide. Now let's go over to our slideshow tab over here and see how it looks from the beginning so far. Alrighty, things looking smooth, and we can go ahead and hit the next slide. Looking smooth. Now notice how it just changes the text and it goes over to the next slide until we end our presentation here. Now what we can do is insert a small little transition that actually runs at every little second before a slide starts, usually about half a second transitions, to fluidly transition over to the next slide. Now I've been saying the word transition quite a few times, and it's so funny that we have a transition tab in PowerPoint. Let's all hover over to it. Now, at the current moment, we don't have any transitions on any of the slides. Let's go ahead and start at slide number 1. And let's just pick a very simple transition like fade. Nope, I didn't click on slide number 1. Let's click on slide number 1 and fade into it. Great, now for the very second one over here, let's go ahead and choose the push transition. Oh, it pushes the slide up, but I want to go ahead and change the push. I don't want to push it up. I'm going to go to my effect options and I'm going to push it to the left. I'm going to go over here to this third slide and let's go ahead and do a wipe over here. And for my effect options, let's go ahead and wipe it from the left. It's a different type of transition. Alrighty, now for my very fourth slide over here, let's go ahead and do a split. Now that we've added in transitions, let's go ahead and see how all these transitions will look in our slideshow. Let's see what we've built. I'm going to go to my slideshow tab and hit from the beginning. Every time you go over to the next slide, you're going to see this kind of animation, this transition going over. And this one we didn't have any. And that one we added in a fade as well. Now with transitions, the most simple thing to do is click the very first one. Go ahead and follow along with me and go to the transitions. Once you find a transition you like this fade one, and you chose the effect option, smooth or thoroughly black, I'm going to choose the smoothly. I can increase how long it takes to run the animation. I'll put it at 0.75, not even a whole second. And I'm going to make sure that it applies to all of my slides by giving that a click. And just like that, you've added a transition to every single slide in your PowerPoint. Let's go back to our slideshow tab over here and see how all that looks by playing it from the beginning. So we started out and we go over to the next slide and it should transition over with a small little graphical effect, as you can see there, going over to the very next slide. Alrighty. Now for this very last slide, once we transition to it, what I want to do is I'm going to go to my transition tab. And I'm going to go to the sounds of my transitions. And I want to do a little applause. So let's go ahead and see how all this looks over here. I'm going to go ahead and preview this. Goes over and it starts clapping. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over and start from the very beginning of our slideshow to see how that looks from the beginning. So we transition over throughout all of our slides, just clicking the space bar here. On the very last slide. We get that applause. And it ends. Go ahead and play around the transitions, see which ones you like. Because of course, there's a lot more than just the ones in this window we're looking at. I can go ahead and click this bottom arrow and I have some exciting transitions, I have some dynamic content transitions. Go ahead and play around and expose yourself to transitions that you might consider using in your presentations. Hopefully you had a little fun playing around with those transitions and exposing yourselves to the more wacky ones, of course. Now that we have some transitions in, another thing that's very similar. So a transition actually affects the actual slide. There might be times where you want to affect just like maybe a picture or a bullet on a slide. You want it to just pop in or animate in or fade in. Let's go to our Home tab and insert a title and content slide for ourselves. And I'm going to go ahead and call this Animations. Now let's go ahead and just add in a few bullets. Let's add in bullet 1 over here, bullet 2, and bullet 3. Now for our animations, I'm going to go ahead and get the title and center it. Don't forget that. Keep it consistent. I'm going to bold it as well. Now for my very first animation, it's funny because we have an animations tab up there. Let's all go to it. I'm going to highlight this very first bullet. And I want this one to fade in. The very first bullet to fade in. And you're going to notice the number 1 appeared. Now I want this very second bullet over here to fly in. But I don't want the bullet to fly in from the bottom. I want it to fly in from the left-hand side. I'm going to go to the effect options here from the left. Now for my very third bullet, I'm going to highlight it over here. I want this bullet to fly in from the right. I'm going to go to the effect options and change it to the right. Boom. Now I don't like the first bullet fading in, so let's go ahead and have this fly in from the top. I'm going to go ahead and change it by highlighting it and choosing fly in. Alrighty. Now I'm going to go ahead and fly in from the top. Let's go ahead and see how this slideshow's animations look by going over to the slideshow option to play it from the current slide on the status bar of PowerPoint 2019. Now you're going to notice every time you click, an animation is going to run. First one flew in from the top, then the left, and then the right, allowing you to go ahead and just, well, let me try it over, focus on one bullet at a time. Pretty nifty. Now this is just the very basics of animations. Go ahead and play around with them and expose yourself to a few more. We just did an entrance. You can also maybe do an emphasis, or if you just want things to go away once you're done talking about them, you can go ahead and have an exit animation. So now that we've been exposed to a few of these animations, go ahead and play around with those 3 bullets that you've created. Pick some different animations and see what you can come up with. Come right back. So now that we have 7 slides over here, something that I want to introduce is adding sections to your PowerPoints. I'm going to right click this very first slide and I'm going to add a section over here. And instead of calling it an untitled section, I'm just going to go ahead and call it the PowerPoint introduction slides. Now if you choose to, you can go ahead and expand and collapse this section, and you can have multiple sections, kind of multiple different organizations in the PowerPoint slide. Pretty nifty. Now when it comes time to building your presentation and finalizing it, because that's what we're coming to here. We have the transitions in, we have the slides, animations in. We got our images all nicely grouped and arranged the way we want them. Might be a good idea to go ahead and organize them by adding in those sections. Now, in case you're wondering, if you just randomly put these slides out of order and you want to reorganize your slides, you might just start plopping in information and then at the very end you want to figure out the order of how you want to present it. Let's go over to our View tab to see how we can do that. Now in the View tab, I just want to expose everyone to something called the Slide Sorter View. The Slide Sorter View will show you a large thumbnail of all your slides. You can zoom out with the zoom bar. And this makes it really easy to maybe organize certain slides in a certain way. Remember, my clapping happened here. And you can go ahead and move around different text slides. That way you can organize the ordering of the presentation once it's finalized without having to just work with the tiny little sidebar here. Kind of hard to do this with just a little window, especially if you had a lot of slides. So be exposed to the slide sorter view. Move around a few slides, of course, like move this PowerPoint one to the end, and come right back. Alrighty. Hopefully you figured out the order that you want your presentation to go in. Let's go ahead and go back to the normal view from our View tab and click on Normal. So, now that we have almost finished up our presentation, I do want to point out that in case you were adding in some comments or these random little footnotes for other people to see as you're building the presentation, you can go to your File tab over here, and you can check and inspect the document for the author name or any comments that are left behind. I'm going to go ahead and inspect the document over here. Nope, I found some author's information and some revision tracking data. Now, on the final copy of this, if this is being sent out to a large organization, you probably want to remove the authors and all these random things that were there as you're building it to have a nice, clean, finalized copy. I'm going to go ahead and remove all the tracking data and remove all the presentation notes. And I'm going to remove all the personal information. I'm going to close it. Just like that, we went ahead and cleaned off some issues that we might not have been aware about, or leftover things as we're building it that we didn't want in the final presentation. Now, in case you are printing out the presentation, let's go ahead and hover over to the Print tab. I do want to point out that you can print out the presentation. Notice how we have each slide showing up. This is the last slide. We can print them on full page slides, or I can even have the notes, little notes sections that I took, show up with the thumbnail of the slide on top. And when you're ready with the settings that you've chosen, whether it be print all the slides or just that one slide with the diagram that you want, or even a section of your PowerPoint, remember we made a section. We can print out all 7 slides in that section. All you need to do is hit print and you're ready to go. Go ahead and expose yourself to the Info tab and the Inspect document. Just go ahead and toggle yourself between the print settings to be aware of the different type of print settings that are available to you, and come right back. Alrighty. Now that we went ahead and built this presentation, I think for the final finishing touch, let's add in one more slide, everybody. What I'm going to go over here is go into the Insert tab, or better yet, the Home tab, I apologize, to insert a new slide with just a title. Let's go ahead and call it The End. And I'm just going to center that title over there and make it bold. Let's add in a picture since we know how to do that. Let's go to our online pictures. And let's put ending. Let's just put The End and see what that's going to pop up. We have a little ending script or an ending image at the end of a movie. Exactly. Let's go ahead and pick this one right over here and insert it. Now that we have this image over here, I'm going to go ahead and, well, send it to the back. And just like that, we finished our presentation. I want to go ahead and thank everyone for completing the PowerPoint 2019 introduction. At this current stage, we feel ready building these presentations and adding in text, adding in the images and grouping and arranging them the way we need to, and applying those transitions and animations and those finishing touches before we either print or present our presentations. Thank you all.